Hello, and welcome to another episode of Trial by Table. Today we will be defending our console. I chose the Switch. The reason why I chose the Switch is because I believe it's the best console that Nintendo's ever made. Not only can you play it on the TV, you can also play it on the go. And it has a lot of games, and it's only been out for 3 years, so there's a lot more coming. Bang.
That's it.
That's it.
I am defending the Wii. And I'm sure you guys are thinking, ooh, that's kind of a tough thing to defend the Wii, but it's really not. It does it by itself. It is a pioneer of motion controls. It's not perfect, but it paved the way for systems in the future. Miis. You might not like them, but Miis were very, very positively received and loved by a lot of people. You're just biased if you don't like them. Slim design. As you can see, compared to its older counterparts, it is much slimmer and sleeker. It was the first easy-to-travel console. In fact, Mr. Iwata himself, rest in peace, he said that this system was meant to travel well before that one. This one was just limited by technology, and 15 years down the road, they got it a little bit better. It was the top-selling console of its generation, and it re-sparked all ages, from old people to young people, love in video games. Tracks user stats, has digital sales, which is more than most of these can say, and it has device notifications, which was before its time.
Alright, here's mine. It needs no defense, but here I am, just preaching the good word of the N64. When you look at a game console, what do you want? You want unique games, you want ingenuity and innovation, and you want to be able to play with friends and enjoy the experience. That's what you get with the N64. It came out during the years of console wars and arguably what was the golden age of gaming. Back when Nintendo was still fighting Sony and they had just moved into the 3D era. With this little baby, all these flourished. Why? Because all the unique games that these offer stem from the OG N64. It doesn't have online features, but that's arguably part of its admirable qualities. It actually makes you play with friends, endure the wrath of your enemies, and just have an overall good time.
I got the GameCube right here. The first portable system. Easier to carry than that white thing over there. They even put a little handle on it. Pretty easy to use. Just 3 buttons. Opens your little CD right here. Which is another thing I want to talk about. The CDs. No piracy here. Just quality Nintendo games. It built from the predecessor right here. And it just expanded before it died down over here. And it has probably the tightest control. The GameCube control. No gimmicks. No clunky controllers. Just tight controls. Just you, the game, and 4 players with good games.
Moving into the cross-examination round, I'm going to start by roasting this guy to my left.
Bring it.
First of all, you'd think online play would have improved since the Wii, but it's still very much behind its competitors. Has bad internet options, no YouTube. This thing had YouTube 15 years before yours even came out. No Ethernet cable, which makes online kind of shitty. Loading times. Cartridges should eliminate loading times, yet yours is still comparable to the 64 over there. And the fact that you have cartridges and it still loads like an old game makes it worse against competitors as well. The dock has been known to scratch tablets. And docks are $80 a piece. Jeez. It's a close second for the worst controller. And also reconnecting those things time after time. I mean, even playing Smash, it's annoying to just reconnect every controller in the controller menu. It's a money gouger for all games. Even the old ones, even the very old games, or like the newer ones like Skyrim and Fortnite. It's making you pay top dollar for old games. Its memory, when the Wii has all of its add-on, is comparable. And to a system that's brand-ish new, it should have way more memory. Modding the Switch, you need to mod it for the virtual console is abysmal. And compared to mine, it's not even close. The game lineup is sad. You guys have like 3 good original games. It needed more time in development. I think that's kind of a fact, and I think you kind of see it in some of its bugginess. And for a new system, I just think it's disappointing. Where, I mean, it does all right in some things, and obviously I have to play on it because of Smash, but overall it's just kind of buggy.
I have to agree with my partner here. I mean, first of all, let's talk about the fact that all of us have 1 controller out, but you need 2. Why do you need 2? Oh, wait, that's because you don't want to play with the Joy-Cons, do you? You want to play with the controller, which you have to pay extra money for? Money gouger. This thing had a virtual console with fantastic games on it. Yours doesn't even have that yet, and it should. What happened there, Nintendo? Talking about the dock again? Yeah, dock scratches the console. It's supposed to be portable, right? How long does it last, though? 2 hours, maybe? And then you're playing on a tiny screen, which is not meant for multiplayer. They're like, hey, take out the Joy-Cons, play with your friends. If any of your friends have adult-sized hands, they're going to cramp up after like 10 minutes of use. So that kind of defeats the purpose of the game. It doesn't have original games beyond like a few. And, yeah, not even really. And it's just relying on its predecessors right now. I'm sorry.
Yeah, let me start talking about those games. Literally, it's just the Wii U port system. Just Wii U ports in there. It maybe has 2 good games, and they came out real quick, and it's been pretty dry ever since. The controllers, like you said, ain't no adult hands gonna be playing on that. That's why you need that Pro controller out there. On top of that, man, that thing's been bending. Those systems are known to bend with the heat, so they're not even durable. It's not even safe to like. I mean, I'm scared to take mine out of the dock. I don't think it is a good gimmick to have a portable system, but if it's not gonna be like 2 hours of battery life, like it's not even portable, man. It's like, so now you have this watered down maybe PS3 graphics on a Nintendo console. Yeah, no. I mean, other than that, everything has already been kind of said of what I think of that.
Your defense, sir.
All right, my defense. The Switch does have YouTube. I guess you just don't know. You can get YouTube. Online play is way better than yours, so you shouldn't even be talking about online. A lot of people play Smash online and other games. Minecraft, Fortnite. If you didn't know, that's
Other people's games.
yeah. Controllers, yes, I will admit these are kind of a little. Well, they're trying to do more stuff than whatever you accomplished, and that's why we have these, like, because people can't handle these. But these are great for children and great. It's motion controls with that is amazing. If you played Breath of the Wild, you would know that these are way better than any other motion controllers I think any system has ever had. Memory, yes, it does lack a little bit on the memory, but that's why you can always buy SD cards, and you can add up to 32 or even way more memory than any other system can ever have. Bad games? Yeah, no, I don't have. No, the Switch does not have bad games. And yes, many of them are from the Wii U, but it's okay because the Wii U sucked anyways. We gotta move on. And if anything, those games are way better on the Switch now. Mario Kart 8, way better. It has Balloon Battle, something that the Wii U couldn't even get right. Smash. Y'all like Smash 4? Because I didn't. I'm good with Ultimate. We have the big like first party titles like Mario Odyssey, Zelda, even Kirby has some games. Sure, we're missing a few, but yet again, it's only 3 years old, so the library's only going to get way bigger. We have way more third-party support than the Wii ever had, and pretty much whatever you guys had, I have way more third-party support. What else? Oh, in terms of like the durability of the console, yes, the first editions were bad, but that's why there's new ones now. Like the Switch Lite, that's a way more durable system than like the old ones. Even the new Switches have more memory and last longer in battery life. So yes, we did come out with like they weren't even that bad because this is still the first Switch for me, even though it has this one. But they fixed it way more, and like now I can actually throw this and it'd be probably okay. Like it's pretty hard to mess up your Switch. Yes, it doesn't have disc, but discs kind of suck. I like little cartridges more. I've always been a cartridges guy. So, yeah, you can't say that I don't have games because I have a lot of games. Even in digital market, there's a lot more games. I have the best games by far because I have even Virtual Console. If you get the online service, you get a free NES Mini and a Super NES Mini. Sure, not full to like what the SNES Mini has, but like the great titles are there, and I think that's all you need for at least those. And they're just gonna keep adding more. Like that's the thing. Like my system's not even done. My system's just gonna keep getting better. So,
Or worse.
I don't think it's getting worse because it's pretty good right now. It's just me though.
So I think it's time for you guys to try your best at the Wii roast. Let's have fun. Jesus, what you got?
Hold on, let me see what I have for you. All right, so the Wii, the mess that is the Wii. First of all, your graphics suck. You didn't really improve on GameCube graphics at all, if anything. Yeah, I think sometimes the GameCube can look better than most of your Wii games. The controls, oh my god, like, I get it, you were trying to something new, but jeez, you failed at it bad. A lot of people were even breaking their own TVs trying to play Wii Sports. A game that's supposed to be safe. You had people breaking their own TVs. You had useless, like, apps, right? Like channels, news channel, photo channel, what else? What else did you have? Weather channel, who cares? Like, honestly, what a waste of space. You could probably have something way more. If you like the Mii's, I'm sorry. Not a fan of the Mii's. It was just something that they wanted to use to compete with Xbox, which it's all right, but God, they're annoying. Disk drive, all right. Even the way you present yourself as a system is bad for the disc, and most of the time, your console's always gonna be like this. So it's not even the way it was supposed to be, you know. You lacked in games. You made certain games bad, like the Mario Party franchise. You killed it with your system. Mario Party 9, what was that? That was gross. You destroyed all the Sonic games. Motion games that you wanted to be good usually always sucked, and you always wanted full price for it. You made Zelda bad. How do you make Zelda bad? Like, oh, I want them to bomble, like bomble. You want someone to play Zelda bowling? Like, come on, man. And Skyward Sword is a great game. It's just that your system made it awful. Yeah, there's so many things. The Virtual Console was alright, but again, $10 for a 64 game was a little too much when most people already had those games. So yeah, your system sucks. Memory sucks. You don't even have that much memory. And then the nunchuck, like, oh my god. It always kept disconnecting. I don't know if you guys ever played Strikers, when you were in intense moments and then boom, you just hear the elevator music because of these damn things. And they would always get in the way when you're trying to play, just hit you here and here. Yeah, I hated you so much. So yeah, that's what I have to say about you.
Okay, so where to begin beyond what Jesus has already said? First, let's talk about your games, your virtual console games. Yes, they create their own shop just for you to pay more for things you already had. And if you wanted to play them in a well-intended manner, you had to buy another controller. Yet again, kind of like Jesus' problem. You start out with this, and if you don't have this, there's an issue. But odds are, you're not even going to want those two. You're going to want a GameCube controller from the previous console because it's an actual controller. If you want to have memory on it, you have to buy more memory. And if you want to have good games, you're relying on the GameCube yet again because of what Jesus was saying with the motion controls. This entire console could have been great if Nintendo would have been more open to different controls instead of having to be new and innovative or having different motions or whatever just to be unique. Yes, there was a lot of games, but there was a lot of games. There was a lot of trash for this console.
90%.
Because everyone was like, hey, let's just throw it on the Wii because people are buying it. Yes, grandparents can bowl. Congratulations. That's the only thing people would use that for. I mean, you're talking about actual games? Like, fun gamer games? No, it wasn't meant for that. It was meant for the family. It was meant to play with friends. That's what they were about, and they were hurt for it. That's why we have the Switch now, with a more competitive nature. They're actually trying to get back to where things were great, over in the good old days over here. I mean, we look at games for what you had. You didn't have much. I mean, you have Twilight Princess, a good Zelda.
It was a port.
Wait. Oh, that's right, my friend. It was a port.
From this guy.
From this guy, because they were just trying to make it work.
I mean, let's get back to that title, Wii. It's like, Wii. There wasn't no you. I mean, they even wanted to go back into you, which they eventually did. Because they knew it was a failed gimmick. It's not about Wii. It's about gamers. You know, if your grandparents can bowl, that is nice. It's like what Brack said. That's cool. But it's not a gaming system. It's more of a party system. You know, that's what you throw in the daycares with the little kids. The controllers were so clunky. It was unappealing for true gamers. We're relying on this guy again, the good controller. The only thing keeping that system alive was probably the backwards compatible with the GameCube, relying on other stuff. Motion controls, like I said, back to it. They had to. It took them a couple of years to get that motion thing right. It came out in 2006. It took them about 5 years for them to come out with the motion. A patch, or else it was a little adapter you had to. They sold
expansion pack?
They sold an adapter for the
Motion
controller too, so it would actually be the motion control. They couldn't even get it right off the bat. The lineup from the beginning was just your sports games and Twilight Princess. Like that was a GameCube game, just port it over. On top of that, it was just rehashed games from like the past. That's all you have, and then bunch of Dance Dance. I think that was the last one that came out for that.
They're still doing that.
They're still doing the Dance Dance. So it was a lot of filler. It was kind of like going from Naruto to like Naruto Shippuden with all the filler, where it's all like, yeah, you did have decent games like Mario Galaxy, Galaxy 2, and that was about it. Like, don't even get me started with Smash Bros. Brawl. Yeah, no, that's all I have to say. Everything else has already been said about this pathetic system.
So I'm glad you guys brought up a couple interesting points that are actually going to work against you in a couple seconds. But first of all, talking about controls, it literally makes it so you don't need to break things. It's called a safety strap. See that? Look, nothing. The TV's going to be fine. You can do something cool like that.
Oh, that's really cool.
You can plug it in. And you can play the game. And the beauty of it is I just amazes me that these two can even talk when this system makes both of theirs obsolete. I just feel like this does everything that your guys' system does, but better. You talk about memory, but it has the capabilities to have just as much memory as that guy over there, which is honestly just amazing. You talk about graphics. I don't see what you're saying with the whole graphics situation. I think it's definitely much better than the GameCube. I'll get to why it's better in a little bit.
Where's your HDMI, buddy?
It has to do with the size of the discs, but I'll get to that in a second. Sonic killed itself. You cannot blame the Wii for killing Sonic. Mii's are better than Avatars. Complaining about free shit. I mean, I never really used the weather and all those other channels, but I definitely used the Mii ones. And if you had to pick which one of these you play with your family and like the most, it's this one by far. By far, you play this one with your family the most. And talking about, and it's all ages. Wii Sports. You play games that people complain about, and you guys talk about how real gamers don't like those games. And it's like this was a commercial success, which is what I want to get into next. Besides making these ones obsolete, it was by far the most commercially successful one. It had over 100 million sales, which all three of these added up barely equals this amount. 100 million to, I think it's 50, 30, and 20, buddy. That's all you got with that system over there. So yeah, you'd have to add up all the sales. I mean, this one's obviously and clearly a money gouger, but this one made the most money for Nintendo. So you can make me pay $80 for Skyrim. That's not going to matter when I have this system here. Virtual Console, it literally started so much. Like I said, it's just a pioneer. You can play all the games that you want. You talk about ports, but I'm playing it in a better thing. I can play it with the same controller. So like, you can't even tell me my controller's bad when I have a system that is built for your controller. It's the same thing. I feel like it brought Mario back to its roots with new Super Mario Bros. And it renewed some classics like Brawl and Mario Kart. Wii Sports, like I was saying, was well received, and like you can't tell me it wasn't. Microsoft and PlayStation actually turned it down, and you'll be interested to hear more about Microsoft and PlayStation, Sony, when I get to these systems and how they did in comparison. Downloading updates, that's something that this thing did that thing still doesn't do. I have to wake up and press the button and watch it download. This thing downloaded in its sleep. It had alerts. It was just before its time, so I find it really hard to say that this thing wasn't good. That's basically it. Besides it just being a complete and utter commercial success, it was fun for the whole family. It brought everyone back to Nintendo after the GameCube ruined it for Nintendo, and it just is an amazing system overall. That's all I have to say.
All right, gentlemen, take your best shot.
Am I starting?
Yes.
Brass.
Hello.
You're the first like Nintendo system that's trying to go to like 3D, right?
That I am.
Yeah. Your controller. Let's start with the controller again. How do you even hold that?
What do you mean? How do you hold it?
How do you even hold that? Like, how do you hold that? To this day, people don't know how to hold that. Because there was no real way of holding that controller.
Pretty sure the common folk will put their hand right here.
Yeah, because it's like we're so like used to other stuff. Let me see. You were the only system that decided to stick with cartridges, which is really bad because All right, calm down, because it limits what you can do in terms of like memory and stuff like that. That's why a lot of developers didn't go to your system. Again, you're talking about how I like to like grab people's money with like, oh, look, buy this. When you're the one that started with what is it, the memory card? Like you gotta put a memory card in your controller? Like what? What is that? The Rumble Pack, the Game Pack for like the stadium games. You even had the stupid little mic for Pikachu, the game, the Hey You Pikachu. It's like, come on, dude. Like, can't you just make a normal game? Like you're over here trying to make people buy these gimmicks. That makes no sense. You had no RPGs. You only had like one RPG, and you didn't have RPGs coming from the Super Nintendo. You just poor people. Like they were probably really mad, and that's why a lot of people went to the PlayStation because they kept going with the RPGs. You don't even have like fighters, like not a single fighter. 80% of your game library is kind of trash because it's just all like blocky. Like the graphics were so weird in some of those games. Like you ever played Turok? Yeah, probably not, because you get lost in that game. You can't even play. Oh, and you probably have like the worst game ever. What's it called? Superman 64, dude. Like, are you kidding me? It's just you're trying to go through rings, and it's like again your controller. It's like it makes it hard, but you can't even beat that game unless you cheat. Another thing is your expansion pack was like, so you can play what 3-4 games. Like, come on, your system couldn't handle it, and that's why you probably should have just delayed that for the GameCube. But that's another story. But yeah, you're not as good as the Switch because.
So going off what Jesus said, the gross polygons that made your 3D was gross. And I understand that you guys had to become 3D at some point, but the job you guys did was mediocre. I think it's shielded by the fact that there were some solid games like Mario 64, but like the graphics, you can't even see where you're at, honestly, a lot of the time. It's like the dimensions really don't add up. It's like, where am I on the screen? Like, is that the foreground? Is that the background? Like, I don't know what's going on. Especially compared to the SNES. I'm not even kidding. When I grew up, and they can attest to this, I actually thought the SNES was after that, just because it felt farther along. Like, your game feels like it's in the Stone Ages, which blows my mind. The PlayStation destroyed the 64 in sales. You're talking about how Sony's like doing stuff over here, destroyed you. Not as bad as that one, but we'll get to that in a second. The small game library, it's very small. I mean, you got some classics on there, but besides that, it is very small. It's by far the worst controller. It doesn't even make sense ergonomically. Like, no. It just blows my mind that this is the GameCube controller, and they decided to like throw in a little wiener for it, and I don't understand why. Like, I don't know why they didn't start with that. Like, they're just trying something here that doesn't make sense.
They have to get it wrong the first time.
I guess. I guess. Blocky cartridges. Fun fact. Did you know that these games were like $70 to $80 before $60 became the happy medium? Yeah. They were money gouging. You're talking about, I understand how he's a money gouger, but your games cost $70 to $80 most of the time because $60 then became what everyone was agreeing on, which like Sony and like all these other game developers decided was like the focal point for like cost and buying. But yours were $70 to $80, which is probably part of the reason yours wasn't as successful as my predecessor here. There was a very long wait in between games. What happened with Banjo? Like, what's Grantilda doing under that rock? I have to wait 2 years to find out. Japan kept great games from us. They literally, like, Mother, there's a lot of games.
Well, Mother never came out because the system couldn't handle it.
Great point. No, but Japan actually kept games on their own 64s that they never gave to America, which blows my mind. Without Rare, your console is probably the worst one ever. Rare carried you guys. And then Jesus already said it, but in conclusion, Superman 64. Having the worst game ever made on your console just looks bad, man. It's just not good.
To expand upon what they said, it's just it was heavily reliant on nostalgia, this system right here. Heavily. It's a pioneer for the 3D, but I mean they had to start somewhere. God damn. Those games did not age well at all. The controller, like I said, so yet again, we have to start somewhere. This still to this day doesn't make sense. You give this to the common folk, they're gonna hold it like this. I think there's only a couple games that actually use this guy right here. Every other game uses this, which was a good idea, but they should have just tossed it up here if 95% of your games are gonna use this.
Some people put it on their lap because they're like.
Yeah, no, like it's so clunky. On top of that, I mean, like I said, just heavily relying on Nintendo games. No diversity in the game library. It's just a bunch of collectathons. It had good Zelda games and good Mario games, and that was about it. No good Pokemon game. It was just they made Pokemon bad. People were like, "Oh, Pokemon Snap's the superior." How do you mess that one up? Yeah, no, I mean. Shout outs for the 4-player, but still, like, only Nintendo games use that. And, like, every other thing, like I said, no diversity in the game library whatsoever.
Your defense, Brex.
This is gonna be fun. So, for one thing, Superman 64, let's just get that out of the way. Hey, your console had a bad game on it. That means it's bad. Excuse me? How does that work? That doesn't reflect on the console. If anything, it's a badge of honor that people were trying so hard to put that trash with something great. Really, it didn't work out, but it tried to carry it. Diversity in game choice. Looking back here, what classics do we have? Oh, I don't know, a good first-person shooter called GoldenEye. That kind of started everything. Mario Party, Mario Kart, no fighters. Super Smash Bros. Started on this one, bud.
Not a fighter game.
People still debate that.
Only 12 characters.
And then talking about other games, Zelda. 2 of the best Zeldas of all time are on this game. Excuse me? It relies on nostalgia. It created nostalgia. How do you think this thing got its sales through the library? Oh wait, it relied on this. Where did your Mario parties come from? They came from this. Mario Kart, has it really changed that much? No, they're still using this one. Moo Moo Meadows, stage 1, baby.
We're upside down now.
Banjo was on this. When did Banjo come back? Oh wait, it didn't. 70 to 80 bucks? People are paying $100 now for games. And talking about a small game library, that's not necessarily bad. I would rather have quality over quantity any day. This has a small game library of fantastic games. This shelf back here proves my point, but you're saying Pokemon games are bad on this? Pokemon Stadium is a game that you've shouted out before, and talking about how you'll play with friends. You don't do that with other Pokemon games. You play one and then you're done and then you move along. I just don't understand that expansion. This is the only console that had a graphical improvement. That's crazy to think about. You're talking about how your console's needing help over there to fix issues. They're just like, hey, we want to beef things up. Let's do that. Did they do that for the Wii? No, that was one of the biggest fallbacks. Talking about how Sony beat this. Anything beat this. Like, literally anything. Xbox 360, way better graphics. Like, everyone's wondering why Nintendo didn't do anything. Why didn't they do something like this? This thing's looking bad over here, relying on mine, and didn't even improve that much. Y'all are saying that this controller is trash, like, oh my word, look, it's a weird design. That doesn't kill from the enjoyment playing like this.
Yes, it does.
How does that kill? It gives you options.
Destroy people's hands in Mario Party.
Carpal tunnel at the age of 4.
Carpal tunnel at the age of 4?
Looks like a weird toy girls use.
Y'all are just taking pot shots because you're afraid, and that's understandable.
Fabian, are you ready?
Hit me.
Wait, let me search you up real quick. GameCube. All right, dude. I can just play you on the Wii. Memory cards? Come on, man. Like, you're a disc. We still need memory cards. And by the way, your discs are tiny. Like, what's up with it? Like, what's going on there? Why are your discs tiny?
Trying to prevent piracy.
Well, yeah. Well, that limits, again, your memory in games. And that's why many games like Resident Evil 4, Metal Gear, and Tales of Symphonia needed 2 discs. Because you just couldn't get a large disc. Again, you tried to do Wavebirds. Like, I get it. Like, everybody was moving on to wireless stuff, but Wavebirds suck, dude. Like, we had to, like, get a frequency. Like, it was like a radio type of thing. I'm like, what is this? And most of the time, if someone else had the same number, then you have 2 people moving a character. And it was so weird. Let's see. Again, small game library. You don't have that many games from, like, the 64. If anything, like... There's a couple of games that separate you. Because you're pretty much the same in terms of what 64 did with, like, Mario 64 and Mario Sunshine. It's kind of the same. You never did anything better, you know? third party, not a lot of support there. Again, because you're Nintendo and you just weren't waking up that much. Jesus. So yeah, again, I'll give you pros. Your controller's pretty cool, but you wanted to do something with the Game Boy thing because you wanted to bring games to the screen, but it looks like you just have a tumor under your system, so it's like, and it wasn't that cool. Most of the times, the disc wouldn't even, not the disc, the cart from the Game Boy Advance wouldn't even read because those things were kind of lousy. So pretty much you have the same problems that Brax has. Like, you didn't really expand or brought anything new. You just improved graphically, and that's about it. Like, and like a handle, man. Like, come on. What are you, a lunchbox or a gaming system? Come on, get it together. So yeah.
Something I could have said about Brax's, but I'll say about yours, is it was just outmatched in terms of time. Like the Xbox and the PlayStation both could play CDs, and they had like different options that your systems just did not have, which mine finally gave to the people that were so desperately needing it, which is why it was the most sold. Speaking of which, least amount of sales. Mine sold 5 times yours. Literally, your GameCube controller is basically just an addition to my system, because that's all that system brought to the table. The disc reader is awful. Small disc made for less storage, which made for smaller games. It didn't allow more stuff on the games. That had more than most of your games, because it's a cartridge. But cartridges aren't that good. So yeah, reducing in game quality, overheating, like those fans, those things would go crazy. Like I had an older Xbox and that thing made some crazy noises. It sounded like a vacuum half the time. I didn't know. Yes. All you had was first party games, which doesn't sound like a bad thing, but it didn't really like add anything. I wasn't like surprised. I wasn't amazed. And the reason for that is because PlayStation and Microsoft stole your game developers and took them for themselves. No Rare. What carried this system now falls off. So you're basically that system without Rare. There's no Banjo, no Perfect Dark, and no Conkers, which were best sellers on that system. Microsoft ruined you guys almost as much as the PS2. The PS2, because of the GameCube, is still to this day the most sold system ever. Because nobody was buying the GameCube. Nobody. Everybody was hopping over to the PlayStation. And it even beats mine in sales. And mine doesn't really get beat by like anything except the PS2. First time Nintendo was in third place. At least they were second there. But now they were third. It was just because like your hardware compared to theirs was just less. You literally offered less for the same price. Your marketing was horrible. Not good. It was marketed straight to little kids. And like so adults like us at this point didn't think it was a gaming system. It was just kind of a toy for children. iNinja's a great game. That's basically all you guys have. And the Wii does your job with more memory and capabilities. So like we don't even need that box over there anymore because we got this slick design over here.
So, to continue off of that, first, thank you for making my point pretty much every time, comparing this to that and saying that this is better. Cartridges, beauty of these things, you can take it out, you can throw it around, you can put it back, you can buy it used, you can put it in there, it's still going to work. Discs, not the same, they don't last. And talking about PS2 versus GameCube, it's like, oh, DVDs here, we can do it. Oh, can you do that with that? No. Why? Oh, because we don't want piracy. They did that for all the other consoles, and there wasn't an issue for it. Piracy. That's what an argument, Nintendo. That's a load of hogwash. I'm sorry. Anything that you had, it was first party, but it was just a first party continuation. The only unique thing that you had for your console that was good, arguably, was Wind Waker. This one tried to argue Sunshine, but everyone in the comments was saying, you're a brave man, because they're just trying to do a little gimmicks, and it didn't work out. Wind Waker at least had something, but then you're saying, oh, Twilight Princess was a port. They're just trying to kill 2 birds, 1 stone. I'm sorry. It's not completely for you on that one. Graphics, not there. And I really don't have much to add from what they have to say. People improved upon the GameCube controller. They took the design and they actually made it better, adding multiple bumpers. Like, why only have one thing here and not one thing here? And then, like, why have a nub for a stick here? Like, what kind of games are using this? Do you remember what games are using this?
I don't think you have a lot of room to talk about controllers, but keep talking.
I'm down.
Oh, I mean, if we want to go back to yours had accessories up the nose that don't make sense.
Richard wants that thing back.
Anyway.
Anyways, to combat whatever you guys threw at me, You guys want to talk about games and graphics? You cannot talk about graphics. That thing slightly improved from the GameCube, slightly. And this thing is just a better one of the 64s. Whatever, who needs Rare? They got done with Sega, and they pretty much got all the ports from the Dreamcast after they defeated the Dreamcast. On top of that, just probably the best controller out of all of these. Didn't need any gimmicks. Durable. I seen these things survive hell. On top of that, it pioneered better graphics for all the games this one came out, but were clunky. This one made it mainstream. Smash Bros, Mario Double Dash, Mario Golf, Mario Tennis. It just made everything better, and that one didn't even have any of those games. It didn't need any third-party support aside of its competitor Sega that it demolished. Whatever, the PS2, like I said, it was just selling on gimmicks. I feel this system aged probably the best out of these two. We're not done with the Switch yet. Again, it was so good they ported it onto the Wii because they needed it desperately at launch. Desperately. You guys want to talk about crap about the Game Boy player? It pretty much had a little Super Nintendo in there and maybe some NES titles with that. And don't even get me started. The GBA was a pretty good system. You pretty much get a GBA and a Game Boy right here. He said it doesn't play DVDs. Panasonic actually made a DVD player for this guy. It was too pricey and people didn't want to pay it. So, because at the end of the day, people are here to play games. They're not here to watch movies. So yeah, no. On top of that, I mean, it's just tried and true to gamers right here. It's just games and games. Launched the C, man, like Pigman. It actually had good Pokemon games. The ones we needed here were made for this system. Thousand Year Door, I know one of my combatants loves that game. Made it better from the original Paper Mario. It just expanded on everything else. Probably home to the best Mario parties and probably the late nights with your friends. This is the guy you bust out. This him. Anyways, that's all I had to say.
All right.
Closing statements.
Jesus, what do you got to say, man?
I gotta say is, the Switch is not done yet, and it's already doing an amazing job. It kind of destroyed handhelds because this is a handheld and it's a home system. Two things combined in one, and you can just take it and whatever. We're not done yet, and the Switch is just gonna keep getting better. I already think it's the best system. So what's gonna happen in 3 years? Damn, even I don't know.
Go down the toilet. We don't know.
No, it won't.
First of all, this system's now competing again with Microsoft and Sony, which is something this guy didn't do. Did you guys watch McGregor versus Cowboy? Because that's basically what happened. This is McGregor right here. Talking about controls, it had the Wii board. I forgot to mention this earlier. Pro controllers. The first Pro controller. This was literally a pioneer. Your system literally copied everything that Iwata and everyone at Nintendo wanted for this system.
We did it better.
We had the Wiimotes. We literally, this one over here, which is funny because you talk about your games, I can play all your games. You talk about your controller, I can use your controller. Literally, your system's not even a thing anymore. You talk about breaking things out at night, this is what you break out. It did the best commercially. I mean, I know I've said that a lot. It's a big talking point. It finally put Nintendo back where it needed to be, which is on top. We finally get full-size discs that can keep the memory of an entire game, which is something we didn't get with these two. Literally gave the Switch its only gimmick, which is having it on the go. Did I mention that it was the system used most by women? Because it had games that not only went to gamers, but women too. It appeals to the masses, and that's just something these other systems don't do. This one's a money gouger and needed more time in the oven. This one's controller is awful and it's prehistoric, and the games and sales of that one speak for themselves. The Wii slick design with portability and motion controls gave it ability to exercise and play games at a high level. The Wii can't be beat. It is the superior console.
Okay, so you keep talking about how yours can play all of Fabian's games and how that makes his obsolete.
Yours too.
Well, here's the thing. Without this wouldn't have had games. And without this having games, this wouldn't have been viable because it's relying on its predecessors. Everyone's saying, oh, this one had good Pokemon games. No, when your Pokemon games came out, people were upset. They were like, oh, Pokemon game? No, it's some weird shadow Pokemon game where it has a little story and not a lot of Pokemon capturing action.
You talking about Coliseum?
I'm just saying it wasn't a full Pokemon game.
Go take pictures of
It was-
Pokemon.
It was a spin-off, but
Correct,
no,
everyone.
with at least mine, you have fighting, or it's like Pokemon Snap. People are asking for Pokemon Snap for that one because they're loving it so much. And then y'all are hating on it? I don't know what's up with that. Without mine, yours doesn't have games. Anything that they started here. And then they didn't really expand past that. They've evolved it a little bit. They've improved upon it a little bit, but there's no original gameplay. You don't need to write things down. You're already done talking, sir. There's nothing more to be said from your side. I'm sorry. This console, like you're talking about portability, this has like a little handle, and that's pretty much it. This, you can take it anywhere. You try overheating this sucker, good flippin' luck. It doesn't happen. We talk about great games that were on this. They haven't come back since. People are missing them, and there's a reason for that. You're like, oh, the graphics aren't that great. Graphics weren't great for this. Graphics weren't great for this. This has nostalgia, unique gameplay that makes you come back to it. You endure that because the games are so good. And that's what a video game console is about. It's about the experience, and it's not just about looks. That's all they went for is looks. Let's make things a little prettier. I would really like to see Nintendo in the future with the Switch come back to its origins, make some new things, and really just be a good gaming console again.
I mean, there's nothing to be said about this. This just made nostalgia with Nintendo games better. I have nothing else to say about this. This is just the best system. Maybe not.
You guys want to play your games right now? Because that's what I'm doing right now.
Thank you guys for another trial by table. Thank you for joining us. We're gonna put. I know last time we didn't have a good voting system. Obviously, Thousand Year Door one. But in terms of systems, we're gonna try to have a straw poll in the description. So go vote there on who you think had the best argument or your favorite system. And thanks for joining us.
Buddy, you want
guys.
to play with me?
Peace out.